Tell us how this works.
Sure, thank you. Welcome to our virtual meeting. If you lose connection at any point during the meeting, you can reconnect by clicking the link or calling the number in your original email. Members, if you are able, please activate your video and keep it on for the duration of the meeting. Staff, if you are able, please activate your video when you are speaking. All panelists, that is alders, committee members, and staff, have the ability to mute and unmute themselves. Panelists can also rename themselves if they wish to add preferred pronouns after their name. Please do not alter the naming convention otherwise. Also, please continue to use the raise hand feature when you'd like to be recognized to speak, ask questions, or request a roll call vote. Lowering your hand will take you out of the queue. Members of the public who have registered to speak. The name you entered in Zoom must match the name you entered in registration. You will remain muted until called upon. The clerk will tell you when your time is up. After speaking, a member of the body may ask you a question. If you need to share documentation with the body, please send it to the email listed on today's agenda. Chair Donnelly, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. This meeting is governed by Robert's Rules of Order. All speakers wishing to address the committee regarding an agenda item must first complete a registration form and submit it to the city clerk designee. Speakers may only speak to the committee after they're called by the chair. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. The public is not allowed to address or respond to committee members unless they've been recognized by the chair of the committee. Mr. Verbeek, do we have any notified absences?
We do not.
Will you please call the roll?
Alder Miadzi.
Present.
Alder Revere.
Here.
Reese.
Here.
Alder Carter.
Present.
Fletcher.
Here.
Donnelly.
Present.
Chair of quorum.
Thank you very much. So I call this meeting of the ALRC to order at 5:36 p.m. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from March 17th, 2021. Committee, what's your pleasure?
So moved.
I hear a motion to approve the minutes from Alder Carter, second from Vice Chair Fletcher. Any discussion or corrections? Hearing none. If anyone needs a roll call vote, please raise your hand. Seeing none, motion carries. Next item, general public comment. Mr. Verbeek, do we have anyone registered for comment?
Let me just refresh my thing to make sure I'm not missing anyone, but I did not see any when I first brought this up. So I don't believe so, but let me just run this again. Nope, I don't see any.
Next, disclosures and recusals. Members of the body should make any required disclosures or recusals under the city's ethics code. I don't see any hands. So next item is presentation of the consent agenda. So at this time, the consent agenda will be moved with the recommended action to grant or grant with any conditions. If no action is recommended for each item, except items which have registrants wishing to speak, items which have been separated for discussion or debate, items requiring ordinance change, or operators license applications. Mr. Verbeek, will you read off the consent agenda? I will display it as well.
Sure. The recommended consent agenda, the quick version, the recommended council to grant change of agents items 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and entity reorganizations items number 9 and 10.
Committee, are there any items people would like to separate from the consent agenda? I don't see any hands.
Chair, did you say 7 was on the consent agenda?
7 is not on the consent agenda.
Okay, is there a reason why?
Yes.
Okay, we can discuss it later.
By all means. Any other questions or separations? All right. Is there a motion?
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Okay, is there a motion from Alder Carter, second from Mr. Fletcher? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the consent agenda as proposed, indicate by doing nothing. Anyone who would like to call for a roll call vote, raise your hand. Motion carries. Mr. Verbeek, will you please read off which items have been disposed of? Attendees, if your item has been disposed of, it will not be picked up again tonight, and you are free to leave.
So the past consent agenda for ALRC meeting April 21st, 2021, recommended council to grant item number 2, change of agent, High Noon Saloon LLC. Item number 3, change of agent, Frank Productions Concerts LLC, DBA Majestic Theater. Item number 4, change of agent, Frank Productions Concerts LLC, DBA The Sylvie. Item number 5, change of agent, Aldi Inc. Item number 6, change of agent, The Heights Kitchen LLC. Item number 9, entity reorganization, Williamson Grocery Cooperative at 1221 Williamson Street. And item number 10, entity reorganization, Williamson Grocery Cooperative at 2817 Sherman Avenue.
So thank you very much, Mr. Verbeek. All right, that brings us then to item 7. This is a change of agent for Quick Trip 951 at 6702 Raymond Road. The proposed agent is Randy Tilk. Is Randy here?
Chair, I do not see that name in the list.
He did register, but I don't see him on the list.
Committee, what is your pleasure?
Can we move on to the next one and see if Randy joins us later?
By all means. That brings us to item 8, entity reorganization for Total Wine, Spirits, Beer, and More at 400 West Town Mall. Adding 1 officer, removing 1 officer. Mr. Verbeek, do we have any registrants for this item?
We do. Jennifer White is registered for this item, and she is here.
Excellent.
Hello.
Jennifer, can you please describe to us what is going on?
At the end of last year, there was a minor change to one of the Class B non-voting members of the licensee. The licensee is an LLC, so this is a change to one of the Class B non-voting members. The non-voting member was SPT 2015 LLC Receiving Trust. The trust is like I said, a passive investor not involved in the operation of the licensee and has no voting rights. The beneficiary of the trust is the adult daughter of one of the owners, Mr. Robert Trone. That trust has now been changed for tax purposes to SPT 2020 LLC Delaware Trust, which became the 5% non-voting Class B member of the licensee. We reported this anticipated change to the City of Madison in December of 2020, and then subsequently provided a signed change of officers form and additional material along with our payment of the fee to effect this change.
That was very thorough. Thank you. I suspect this was not on the consent agenda because to us, the LLCs are opaque and we would have had questions which I believe you've answered. However, committee members, do you have any questions for the applicant? I don't see any questions. Is there a motion?
I move approval. The applicant was extremely thorough.
We've got a motion from Alder Carter. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Fletcher. Any discussion? Hearing none. Does anyone feel the need for a roll call vote? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you, Jennifer. Next item is item 11, change of license conditions for CVS Pharmacy 4930 at 2 South Bedford. The request is to revise condition 5 to add 2 doors to the cooler space for beer and to add additional warm beer space. Do we have someone here from CVS, Mr. Verbeek?
We do. We have 2 registrants from CVS, Dan Peterson and Larry Cohen.
Excellent. Dan and Larry, you can decide who goes first. Please identify yourself when you first speak and let us know what's going on.
Hi, my name's Larry Cohen. I'm the attorney for CVS. We would like to coolers.
And Dan?
Larry, if you're speaking, you need to speak into your mic where you're having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, I'm sorry. We'd like to change the conditions on our Class A beer and wine license. Number 5 on the license, we'd like to change the display area, the cold beer display area, which was limited to 2 coolers accessible by no more than 4 doors. We'd like to add an additional cooler for 2 doors. So that would make 2 coolers no more than 6 doors. And then also number 6, in addition, we would like to add your display area limited to 4 feet by 4 feet, in addition to wine display area limited to 16 feet by 72 inches in the shelf area. So we'd like to amend 5 and numbers 5 and 6.
All right. Committee, what questions do you have for the applicant?
Is this, Larry, can you tell me where your coolers are located? I've just refreshed my memory. Are they in the front of the store?
The store manager is here also, but I believe it's in the back of the store.
Okay, I haven't been in CVS in a while. Thank you. I have no further questions for this applicant.
Thank you, Alder Carter. Alder Verveer.
Thank you very much, Chairperson Donnelly. I am very familiar with the store as it is literally within a block of my residence. So I know the store manager that's with us tonight, Dan Peterson, very well. So Dan, if you're able to communicate with us, thanks for being here. Could you please explain the rationale for the change of license conditions so that my committee colleagues here are aware of why you're requesting this, and then perhaps answer Alderperson Carter's question as well in terms of the location of the alcohol in the store now and what would change if this is approved?
Barely. Can you speak up, Dan?
Hear me now?
It's still really low. Are you pretty far away from your device?
No, I'm not. I apologize. To answer the first question, our liquor is if you walk to the front door and you go directly right, it's along the wall to the right. So So pretty much near the front entrance, just to the right. The reason we're looking to expand our liquor a little bit is just a very high demand for it. We're having difficulty keeping everything full for our customers, and we like to add to the variety also. So we would be taking away something that does not sell very well for us, which is the incontinence section. We'd move that somewhere else and just add 2 doors of beer just for the customers.
And then Dan, why don't you explain how overwhelmed you've been with customer requests for beer since Kelly's Market closed its doors across the street from you on West Washington Avenue?
Since they closed, our sales are up by 25%. And typically with this pandemic, a lot of our categories have been down within the store. So for this to be up 25%, that's a pretty significant increase.
And could you explain a little further, and we'll have to ask Attorney Cohen to restate the exact wording that you wish for these license conditions. It wasn't contained in the written application from the corporate office in Rhode Island, as Attorney Cohen and I discussed earlier today. So could you explain where you wish to store the so-called warm beer? I obviously realize that you've been doing that in any event, like as an end cap on aisles today. Can you explain would it stay in the current locations and why you have the need to have so-called warm beer cases displayed out on the store floor beyond this added cooler space?
Yeah, we're just, I'm sorry, go ahead, Larry.
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
We're licensed for 16 feet of wine, and we only utilize 12 feet of that. So we're just looking to get that on the license correctly. So that
as far as the license is concerned, number 5, we would like it to read cold beer display area limited to 2 coolers accessible by no more than 6 doors. So it's an additional cooler, but only 2 additional doors. And as far as number 6 is concerned, we would just suggest warm beer display area limited to 4 feet by 4 feet, in addition to wine display area, which is limited to 16 feet by 72 inches in shelf area.
Thank you, Chairperson Donnelly, for the visual assistance. That's very helpful. For those that might not be watching the meeting or just joining us on the telephone, our chairperson is typing real time on the screen what your specific request is for the new conditions. So Dan, as that's being explained to us via the sharing of the screen by our chair, can you just then elaborate further from what your attorney is asking? Would the so-called warm beer still be in these end caps? Because the way you describe it, it sounds like you just want to have the warm beer be utilizing space that you're allowed to currently for wine, but you aren't using for wine. Do you understand my question?
Yes, that's exactly what we're saying.
Well, yeah, but what would be the placement? Would it be as an end cap or would it be as part of the 16 feet?
We're looking for the end cap for like the bulk display, and just keeping our lines at 12 feet.
So in other words, you're conceding for condition number 6. You're conceding.
No, we would
be lower.
Oh, I apologize.
We were thinking of leaving 6. We could leave 6 alone and just add for number 7 as I think that sounds pretty good. Unrefrigerated beer display area limited to 4 feet by 4 feet as an end cap. Would that be okay?
It currently reads shelf area. Dan, you wouldn't put it on shelves. You're only interested in an end cap like it is today.
Right.
Is that correct, Dan?
Yeah, yes.
If we could just delete the shelf area. Yeah, that would be perfect. As an end cap.
If we have it say shelf area, I think that gives you more flexibility, because the concern is about how much space is devoted to this rather than the specific nature of that. If you decided that you wanted to have it not be an end cap and instead be regular shelves, I wouldn't want to take up the committee's time with an additional change of licensed premises or change of license conditions.
Okay.
Thank you again, Chair Donnelly, for sharing that with us. It's the most helpful.
Yeah, that sounds very good.
Alder Fear, do you have further questions?
No, I was just going to say thank you. I have no further questions.
Excellent. Dr. Reese.
Thanks. Just curious, and maybe Alder Vivier can help with this, if there were any other conditions, since this is kind of replacing the demand from Kelly's Market, were there any conditions on Kelly's Market that we might need to consider since the traffic is coming over to CVS, or is there any concern there?
If I could just jump in, and thank you very much for the excellent question, Ms. Reese. That, as Chair Donnelly is sharing with you, there are extensive conditions on CVS's license already that are consistent with the so-called uniform Class A conditions in the downtown campus area. So each of the conditions that Kelly's previously had across the street were already contained in CVS's original license. I don't know if you can see that easily on the screen, but yes, that's again an excellent question. Thank you for your concern.
Thank you.
On that, and it's already covered in the existing license conditions.
Great, thank you for that.
All right, thank you, Dr. Reese. Are there any further questions? All right, I will entertain a motion.
I move approval of the change of conditions as discussed here. And again, as thanks to the kindness of the chairperson and your assistance, that's displayed now on the screen.
All right, we have a motion from Alder Revere to change the conditions as displayed, which I will, of course, email to the clerk. Second from Mr. Fletcher. Any discussion? Hearing none, is there any need for a roll call for this vote? Seeing none, motion carries. And I will email this to you, Jim.
Thank you.
All right, next item, change of licensed premises for, pardon me for a second, Players Sports Bar at 2013 Winnebago. Do we have anyone from Players here, Mr. Verbeck?
We do. Mark Kroon is registered in support. Do not wish to speak, but available to answer questions.
Mark, I think you're up anyway. Could you please let us know what it is that you're proposing?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Could you say it one more time? I was trying to unmute my phone.
Not a problem. Could you please let us know what it is that you're proposing?
Yeah, what we're trying to do is open up our back area for a little outdoor seating. We don't have any room out in our front, and we luckily have a nice area in the back that we can have for seating. And basically, 99% of the businesses in our area have the outdoor seating, and we just want to do that. We tried to go through the streetery, and I'm gonna let you talk to my wife. She knows more than I do.
Hi, I'm Christy, and I have been trying to do all this paperwork up until tonight. So we applied for this extension of our license to include this outdoor patio seating area. We currently have the contingency for that for 2 special events. Of course, Atwood Fest, which we extremely missed last year, and our golf, like a special event golf outing. Of course, we had to miss last year. And upon pursuing the streetery and talking with our liquor license liaison, Jennifer Haar, she suggested we do this extension of premises. So we're pursuing that avenue. So we're just looking to extend to have outdoor seating and be able to serve alcohol in the back patio area, of course, with our food. Great burgers, by the way.
Christy, can you state your name for the record, please?
My first name is Christy, Christy. My last name is Kroon, Kroon.
Excellent. And
I'm Mark's wife, and he's one of the owners.
Excellent. Are you registered to speak for this item?
Well, my husband is. Mark is. He's right here.
Yep. So it's totally fine. Just can you please fill the registration form out afterwards so we've got all the bookkeeping up to date?
Absolutely.
Excellent. All right. I've got Assistant City Attorney Zillovy, followed by Alder Carter.
Hello. My first question has already been answered. I was curious what their role in the business was if they were owners. And my second question is whether they have checked with zoning as to whether this is a permitted use out back, and who owns the parking lot area.
All right. First of all, I am the owner. Me and my mom have owned the bar for 30 years. And as far as the people that own the property out back, the people from Bar Corleone and Food Fight literally own the entire back parking lot. And we have a written statement from them giving us approval for it. We also have our insurance was made an adjustment to cover it. And we have 2 cameras in the back to cover the area also.
And what about the zoning piece? Have you spoken?
My wife's looking up the thing right now as we speak.
I talked with Matt Tucker at zoning, and he told me I was to contact Jim Burbick with all of our paperwork, and that's what I pursued. And you should have received our map and our. I included the letter from the property owners with their written permission and the application.
Okay. Jim, do you have the letter from the property owners?
Let me do a little more digging to see if I have it with me right now.
While he's looking for that, do you have any additional questions, Assistant City Attorney Zillovy?
I do not. Thank you.
Excellent. Then
that letter I brought in on March 15, because I have my invoice for my change of premise application fee. So I turned all that stuff in at that time.
Mr. Verbeek will let us know when he unearths that. While he's looking, Alder Carter.
Thank you. Mark or Chris, can you tell me, Christy, I'm sorry, what is, I see that you submitted your site plan. What is behind your rear parking lot?
Well, that
are there houses or is it another street?
No, there's more
Atwood
parking.
Avenue.
There's more parking, and then Atwood Avenue, and then there's also a Chinese restaurant that hasn't been open for about 5 years. That's directly behind us. Yes.
Okay. And then, is the owners allowing you to block off that area so people know that is for Players Sports Bar?
Right. Yeah, we have a fenced-in area that we're going to have set up for that, along with the people that own Bar Coralini, which is right next door to us, and we share the alley with Bar Coralini. They are actually going to be opening up a area in the alleyway, which is part of our property, and we obviously give them consent to use that.
Right.
But yeah, they're going to be two specific designated areas for their customers and our customers, and then there's the whole parking lot for Bar Coralini behind that.
Okay. Thank you. That's what I wanted to know.
Okay, awesome.
All right, thank you, Alder Carter. Mr. Verbeek, have you unearthed the letter?
I did. I just mailed it around.
Excellent. Thank you. Committee, what further questions do you have for the applicants? Discussion and or a motion?
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve from Dr. Reese. Is there a second?
I do see two hands up in Zoom.
I'm not able to put people's hands down for them, so they're still up in the floor.
If it means anything, I'll approve.
Is there a second? Second from Mr. Fletcher. Any discussion? Hearing none. Anyone feel a need for a roll call vote? All right, seeing none, motion carries for item 12.
Chair, who did you say made the initial motion on that?
Dr. Reese. All right, next item 13, change of licensed premises for El Panzone at 1310 South Midvale. We have a registrant for this item, Mr. Verbeek.
We do. We have a Matilda Rojas, and she does have an interpreter here, Julio Garcias.
Excellent. Will you please swear in the interpreter? And yeah, go for it.
Julio, I know I can't see you, and and nobody can see you. Can you just raise your right hand for me and affirm that you'll accurately interpret English to Spanish and Spanish to English?
I do.
I think.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Verbeek. Matilda, can you please tell us what it is that you are proposing to change?
Matilde, ¿nos puede decir qué es lo que está usted proponiendo, los cambios que usted está proponiendo?
*6 to unmute.
Se puede pulsar, Matilde, puede pulsar el asterisco 6, pulsar asterisco y el número 6 para activar el micrófono.
¿Y bueno?
Sí. ¿Escuchó la pregunta?
No la escuché. Yo, bueno, sí escuché, pero siguen.
¿Cuáles son los cambios que usted está proponiendo?
Bueno, hicimos unos cambios porque anteriormente teníamos el alcohol más cerca de la cocina y arriba del refrigerador teníamos las botellas. Entonces teníamos un espacio que no estábamos ocupando y hicimos en la pared como una barra, pero está cerrada. Entonces la gente no tiene acceso para sentarse enfrente de la barra ni nada. Solamente lo hicimos para que tuviera vista el alcohol.
Okay. So we want to make some changes because before we had the alcohol very close to the kitchen on top of a refrigerator, and we made a counter just basically so the alcohol is visible. ¿Es eso lo que quiso decir, Matilda?
Sí.
Que para que se pueda ver mejor el alcohol. Yeah. So the alcohol, we made a counter that was in an area that was not used, so the alcohol is more visible.
Excellent. Thank you, Matilda. Committee members, what questions do you have for the applicant? Alder Carter.
Yes. When you say that you've made it more visible, is this, do the customers have access to it? Or is it actually a bar area?
Okay. Cuando dice que lo quiere hacer más visible, ¿los clientes tienen acceso directo al alcohol o es más como si fuese una zona de bar?
Como una forma de bar.
Like a bar area.
Pero ellos no se pueden sentar enfrente de la barra porque no tenemos sillas ni nada. Solamente es como la gente que vea como qué tipo de tequilas o qué tipo de alcohol tenemos para que ellos nos pregunten o digan, oh, ¿me puede dar ese?
So people, there are no seats in front of this counter, so people cannot sit at the counter. It's just for people to be able to see what types of alcohol we have, and so they can choose and ask for the type that they want or the brand that they want.
Is the alcohol on a shelf or is it in a glass case?
¿El alcohol está en unas baldas, en unas estanterías, o está en más en algo con cristal, cerrado con cristal?
En unas estanterías.
In some shelves.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Alder Carter. What additional questions are there for the applicant? A motion would be in order at this time. Mr. Fletcher.
I'd move approval, Mr. Chair.
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion to approve from Mr. Fletcher, second from Alder Carter. Any discussion? Hearing none, does anyone call for a roll call vote? Seeing none, motion carries. Item 13 is granted. Matilda, thank you for joining us tonight.
Matilda se ha aceptado su propuesta. Gracias por unirse a nosotros.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Good night. All right, next up, we have two items, 14 and 15, for Twisted Grounds at 6067 Gemini Drive, a change of licensed premises, and a 21 plus entertainment license. Mr. Verbeek, do we have a registrant for this item?
Abby Padlock is registered for 14. I'm assuming for 15 as well. And I also just want to note for 14, a Louis Mignon is registered in support, not wishing to speak, and also registered for 15, not wishing to speak.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Verbeek. Is Abby registered for item 15 as well?
She is now registered for 15.
Okay. Abby, when you have the opportunity, I presume that you're interested in talking about both, correct?
Yes.
When you have the opportunity, could you please fill out the additional form for item 15?
Yes, definitely.
Thank you very much. All right, please tell us what you are proposing.
Yeah, so I've already had my premise zoned and met with and talked with Matt Tucker and Chrissy Teal about all this. And I thought I needed to submit a change of license premise. So the area is zoned for the outside and seating and stuff already. I just physically am putting a few more picnic tables and seating out. So I didn't know if the change of license premise actually had to reflect, truly how many people could physically sit out there. So that's for that one. And then for 15, I'm looking to do live music on Friday nights and from 6 to 8 and Sunday mornings from 10 to noon at my coffee shop. I didn't know exactly what to exactly put because it had the 21 plus one because it's open to all ages, like families and everything too. And the type of music is generally like single to trios, like acoustic type music.
Excellent. Thank you. So before we dig into questions, I think this is an opportunity for a little education or refresher for all of us. I'm hoping either Assistant City Attorney Brist or Assistant City Attorney Zillivi could let us know the ramifications of a space that serves food and has a 21 plus entertainment license having entertainment and alcohol at the same time. Who would like to take this one? All right, since nobody's volunteering, I'm going to tag Assistant City Attorney Brist since he is our counsel. You with us, Steve?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, I am just taking a moment to look this up in the ordinances. It's going to be a moment to get to the general licensing requirements.
We do have a hand raised from Assistant City Attorney Zillivi. Should we move to her and come back to you?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, Assistant City Attorney Zillivi.
I didn't know Steve was there, so I chimed in. So Twisted Grounds is a restaurant, so she's allowed to have underage on her premise, obviously all the time that she's open and serving food. And I don't know that I've considered before the idea of the 21 and up.
I wasn't sure if there's a different license that should be submitted. I know there was like 2 on the form, and this is when I called the clerk's office. This is what the one they told me to submit. I'm not sure if there was a different one, but this is the best one they said that fit what I was looking for.
There's an 18 and up. Did you read the 21 plus entertainment license ordinance?
I didn't read the ordinance specifically, no.
Because it details the requirements. If you have to identify patrons 21 years of age and older. So that...
Yes.
Okay. You're aware of those requirements?
Yep. So we card everyone already. And on these nights specifically and the Sunday mornings, what we plan to do as well is have bracelets people are given once carded, because just so of coming in and out, and because we just do beer and wine to make sure to help with like underage or anything like that.
Okay. And that is consistent with the 21 plus entertainment license that you identify, not only just check their ID, but then have a means of identifying when they're on the premise who is of age to drink.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Assistant City Attorney Zillivi. Assistant City Attorney Brist, I believe my question has been answered, but you're welcome to chime in if there's anything else you'd like to add.
I don't have anything to add to that explanation.
Excellent. Thank you. In that case, Alder Carter. Alder Carter.
mute button. Just a clarification on the hours of 6 to 8. You're having music. What days were they?
So that was Friday night. And then Sunday
just on
morning.
Friday and then Sunday?
Yep, Friday night and then Sunday morning from 10 to noon. And this will run June through September. So it's just a summer music series.
Okay. And then also you were increasing your capacity outdoors. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
By 20?
Yes. So it was, go ahead, sorry.
It was 60 and then it's going to be 80?
Yes.
And then are all your seating picnic tables?
There's picnic tables and then also like 2 or 3 tops.
Okay. Thank you very much. I just wanted that clarification.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Alder Carter. And next up is Captain Donahue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hi, Abby.
Hi.
A couple of quick questions for you. I think I was present when you came before us before, but I don't recall. What's the physical setup around the area where people will be seated? What kind of, and I apologize if somebody just asked this, barriers or outside of those picnic tables to maintain ingress and egress?
Yeah, so we there's fencing around the area, and then even when the Strudery program came in, so we put in poles with connecting chain links, so to fence off all the enclosed area.
Okay, my next question, I don't mean for this to sound like a setup, but it's going to answer a question that the East District captain had. Is it accurate that you guys have already been having music, amplified music outside?
We didn't have any amplified music, no. We had an acoustic guitarist.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Great. Thank you, Captain Donahue. Dr. Reese.
Thank you. A couple of questions about the security plan. So I understand that this is, more acoustic music. It's earlier in the night. But you say the owner, manager, or assistant manager will always be present. So all 3 of those staff will be present during the live music at all times?
No, there would be 2. Myself, I'll be there. And then the manager, I could have written that better, sorry. The manager or the assistant manager will also be present as well.
And will your only job be monitoring what's happening during the entertainment, or will you be serving inside or doing other kinds of things?
No, I will not be on staff. I've made it fully staffed, so then I am just monitoring and acting as security.
Okay, thanks. And then for the parking, you mentioned shouldn't be an issue because you're in a neighborhood, so there's a lot of parking. Just wondering if you've considered, well, I guess first of all, if you've done any neighborhood engagement, if you've talked to neighbors about the amplified sound or any concerns. And then the other thing would be if there's extra traffic because of the performances, sometimes there can be neighborhood concerns because people are parking in front of houses and that sort of thing. So I was just wondering if you had thought through those issues for parking plans or monitoring.
Yeah, definitely. So I talk closely with our alderman also about this and have always been given great support from the community. She's voiced to me. And then also we are in an area that has a lot of foot traffic from walking from home. So, and I've always gotten support in that way. I know if there was any complaints, it's a very community-esque type coffee shop. So I would definitely change and, stop things if that happened. However, all the homes and everything are pretty far away to where I don't think it would be an issue. With parking, we also have the property has a set agreement with also the Metro Market grocery store. That lot is also ours to use as well. So that has a ton of spots.
Great, thank you. And then just one other question. You mentioned that, you're just having a summer concert series, but I can imagine if this goes well, it's probably something that you'll want to continue. So I'm just asking some of these questions just, in case it grows or it goes farther than that. These are just some things to think through. So thank you for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Reese. Alder Lemmer has joined us. Alder Lemmer.
Thank you. I wanted to add on to the response to Dr. Reese. I've shared out in my blog that Twisted Grounds is seeking to have live music and to add the picnic tables. And I also shared it at the Neighborhood Association's annual neighborhood meeting, and that was well attended. So word has gotten out, and I have only received positive feedback about their requests. Folks the coffee shop has a good reputation. It's a popular spot, and folks want to have more community events in the area. And as Abby said, it's far enough away from residences that I don't believe that amplified music will be disruptive. It's also far away enough that I don't think there will be parking in the neighborhood. And there is the grocery store next door where they are allowed to use parking if needed.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Alder Lemmer, do you have any further comments?
Oh, let's see. Just that, as I said in my email, I'm supportive. I think music going no later than 8 p.m. is appropriate and will not be disruptive to the neighborhood, and as well as the 10 a.m. to noon on Sundays. The folks are excited about it. They want to have more community gathering type events in the neighborhood.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Alder Carter and then Alder Miadzi. Alder Carter.
Yeah, and thank you, Alder Lemmer. I remember going out there the first time when she was opening. So I'm glad you said Metro Market because it rung a bell on where this street is. My question is that when I went out there many moons ago, I thought there was parking around the actual area of Twisted Grounds, in addition to the Metro Market. Am I right or am I fuzzy?
Yes, that's true. They have a parking lot right there.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Alder Carter. Alder Miadzi.
I'm just trying to get my bearings and learn here more about the process here, but it says 93% food and 3% alcohol. How do you keep a hold of how much is food and and alcohol? It says only 3%, but seeing that this is a community event, I'm just trying to learn more. Being this is my first meeting.
Yeah, so my POS, how I just am able to track that is there might be a slight increase in our sales, like maybe it might go up to 4 or 5%. But my POS system that I use then tracks all our sales, and that's the percentage it's at right now.
Oh, and what is that? I'm sorry, this is my first meeting ever.
Yeah.
Just got elected alder. So what is PO?
Sorry. A point of sale system. So like when people actually come in, the computer that you use when you charge them. So that records everything then. And so then that's how it's reflected. Yeah. The majority of our sales is the coffee, or our food. We have, different sandwiches and stuff like that. And then we have just the tap beer and wine. And so based on those sales percentages, it shoots out that it tells me that it's only about 3% right now.
Oh, okay. Hey, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
And even if that were to increase, as long as it doesn't skyrocket to the point that more than 50% of their proceeds come from alcohol, it wouldn't affect the status of their license. That said, Abby, we do appreciate the precise numbers you've been able to provide from the point of sale system. All right, Goody, what further questions are there about items 14 and 15. Alder Carter.
I move approval
Of both items?
for both 14 and 15.
All right. Is there a second? Second from Dr. Reese. Okay, so we have a motion from Alder Carter, second from Dr. Reese to approve item 14, change of licensed premises for Twisted Grounds, which will increase the outdoor capacity from 60 to 80 and allow adding more picnic tables outside the building. And item 15, which grants a 21 plus entertainment license for Twisted Grounds. Mr. Fletcher.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I want to go back to Captain Donohue's line of questioning from just earlier on to see if, just double check and see if, was there a specific concern from the East District Captain at all?
It was just the potential of noise issues. They are fairly well removed from residential spaces there, but that was the concern, I think, with the limited hours, the early end time, and their distance away. But the concern was mainly noise, I think, but the hours mitigated that some. And why I didn't want it to sound like a setup was one of the things I was thinking is if they had been having the music, because we saw some photos of microphones and people performing, which we thought was at that location, that it was a good sign if we hadn't heard any complaints about noise or music there.
Thank you.
Any further questions, Mr. Fletcher? All right. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, would anyone like to call for a roll call vote? Hearing none, items 14 and 15 are granted. Thank you for joining us, Abby.
Thank you.
Next item is item 15, a new license application for Riley's Bar and Grill at 408 West Gorham. Mr. Burbick, do we have a registrant for this item?
Yes, Adam Bentz is registered and here wishing to speak.
Excellent. Adam, will you please tell us about the establishment you propose to open?
Sure. Thank you. Thanks. My name's Adam Bentz, applying for the Brickhouse Barbecue LLC. Riley's Bar and Grill is the name we'd like to go with. Be a new restaurant, trying to open up for the summer. Utilize our outdoor patio space and have a full menu, open till 1:30, no reentry policy, everything with the downtown rules. Thanks.
All right. Committee, what questions do you have for the applicant?
I have something to bring up. I'm speaking on behalf of the president of the, what's it called? Campus Area Neighborhood Association reached out to me and requested that I ask, I'm speaking for him, to postpone the license to the next meeting because he would like the owner of Riley's Bar and Grill to reach out and email the Campus Area Neighborhood Association.
Thank you for bringing that up, Mr. McWilliams. Alder Carter.
Thank you. I was just going to ask if they had reached out to the neighborhood association, and instead of postponing, I think we should refer. If they had not reached out.
Mr.
Yeah, unfortunately, due to a miscommunication on our end, we did not reach out in a timely manner, and I was going to, on my behalf, reach out as soon as possible after this. I understand that I kind of misunderstood that the owner was going to do it, and I was supposed to, and did not, unfortunately.
Gotcha. Thank you, Adam. Committee, are there any? Dr. Reese.
Thanks. I was just curious. Will you be serving food until 1:30?
Yes, we would. Yes, we would.
Yep. Okay. I was just looking at the 40-60 alcohol food split and just thinking, given the hours, just to keep an eye on that because it's pretty close there. So that's why I was asking, but thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Reese. Captain Donahue.
I'm not sure if it's worth me asking questions now, if I'll spare people's time if it's going to be referred. I don't know.
It is entirely up to you. One option might be to ask the applicant the questions kind of rapid fire. You can write them down and then be really ready for next month, but you can play it however you'd like.
He and I spoke yesterday, so I think he's prepared to answer the questions that I had, but I just wanted them on record for everybody to hear.
Next month would probably make more sense then, since that's when we'll be making the decision. We're assuming there is a referral.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Mr. Fletcher.
No questions. Move referral, Mr. Chair.
We've got a motion to refer to next month's ALRC meeting from Mr. Fletcher. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Alder Carter. Alder Verveer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to share with my colleagues that I very much support the motion. I was going to make the same motion. You probably all noted that this application is in the Aldermanic District I'm elected to represent. I did have a very lengthy conversation with the proposed owner of the new establishment, Mrs. Lee, and appreciate Adam being here tonight. She and I discussed whether or not it would be fruitful for Adam to appear and hear any questions and feedback from the committee so that they can take that under advisement between now and our May regular meeting. But they fully realize that they, number one, didn't contact the relatively new Campus Area Neighborhood Association, and number two, failed under the ordinance to host the informational session at least 1 week prior to tonight's public hearing. So they now know what they need to do and will do it over the next couple weeks. So I just wanted to state that I did have a good conversation with the owner of the proposed new establishment, and she is what her remarks to me were consistent with what Adam just shared with all of you.
Thank you, Alder Verveer. Any further discussion of the motion to refer item 16 to the next regularly scheduled ALRC meeting? Seeing no discussion, would anyone like to call for a roll call vote? Seeing none, motion on item 16 carries. It's referred to next month's meeting. Let's go back to item 7. This is a change of agent application for Quick Trip at 6702 Raymond. Mr. Verbeek, do we have a registrant here for this item yet?
No, nobody is. I didn't check to see if there's a new registration that's available to answer questions or wishing to speak, but I don't see anyone here for that item. I will say I did email the applicant just after we did move past the item to make him aware that the committee was looking to ask questions on it. So I can follow up again after this meeting to let him know that we'll end up referring it to next month.
Thank you. Mr. Fletcher and then Alder Carter. Mr. Fletcher?
Move referral until our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Here, a motion. Is there a second?
I will second, but I have a question for Mr. Verbeek. Is this their first time? Have we referred this before?
We have not.
It is
okay, I just wanted to make sure. I will second. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Fletcher and Alder Carter. We have a motion and a second to refer. Dr. Reese.
Just one question, because I know we do this for operator license, but for change of agent, and I should probably have asked this by email, just wondering, if someone could help me after the meeting find like what the parameters are. Are they exactly the same as for the operators for the criminal history?
Assistant City Attorney Brist. So the question is...
Well, I would say it's not specifically the same, but in principle, it is the same. We have something that we've outlined a policy for our bartender licenses, our operator licenses, but this is relevant in terms of Chapter 125 of Wisconsin statutes. In a similar way, it has to substantially relate to the business that's being operated. So if there's a related offense, then we consider it in a similar manner than we would for the ALRC, even for the operator license, even though we don't have a written policy.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Assistant City Attorney Brist and Dr. Reese. Any further discussion of the motion to refer item 7 to the next regularly scheduled ALRC meeting? Seeing none, anyone want to call for a roll call vote? Motion carries. Item 7 is referred. Next up, item 17 is the report of the Madison Police Department, summary of recent calls for service. Captain Donahue, is there anything to which you particularly would like to call our attention?
I do not. Thank you, and welcome to the new alders.
Yes. Thank you, Captain Donahue. Does anyone have any questions for Captain Donahue about anything in the summary of recent calls for service? All right, moving right along. Item 18 is the report from the City Clerk's office. Mr. Verbeek, do you have anything to which you would like to call our attention? You are muted, Jim.
I do not, but I'm here to answer any questions.
Apropos of that, does anyone have any questions for our representative from the Clerk's office? Alder Revere and then Alder Carter.
Thank you, Chairperson. Jim, I just wanted to ask you, since obviously license renewal applications were due in your office last week, do you have any initial read on what the response rate has been? Is it somewhat lower than normal because of the pandemic, or is it a robust return rate, or is it too soon to tell?
It's a little too soon to tell. Technically, our deadline is the 15th, but we do accept them up until the 30th, and we're not able to charge late fees now. So that thread is very hollow right now. So I'm not quite sure what the overall response rate is right now, and if it's any indication whether or not it's because of a lack of late fee or not.
Could you remind us, please, Jim, what was our experience last year where as well we weren't charging late fees?
It was, I can't remember if we got I think at that point it was still pretty fresh as far as the council eliminating postponing the late fee. And so a lot of our language in our letter went out that indicated there would be a late fee. Whereas this year we indicated that there would not be a late fee. So it is a little bit of a, I would say that the licensees had a little bit of a different reaction because our materials this year indicated there would not be a late fee, even if they submitted after the April 15th, but before May date.
I see. And I know it's too soon to know how many renewal applications might be separated by the committee, police department, city council members, etc. But to confirm it, those dates that you previously have sent us, Outlook meeting.
Yeah, I'll have to, excuse me, I'll have to look at that again. I'll have to forward the Outlook invitations to Alder Miadzi as well, since he was not sent that prior. And I don't know if we'll have any replacements for Fernando Grady or Westra in that time. But we have 3 openings on the committee right now.
Right. And thank you for understanding what my follow-up question was going to be, and that was to please send those dates to our newly minted colleague, and welcome very much, Charles, to the committee. We're excited to have you here so that he can get those on his calendar. So thank you, Jim.
Any further questions, Alder Verveer?
No, that's it. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Alder Carter.
I just have a question for Jim. On the license, on your sheet, the ones that were not picked up or satisfied in May, June, and August, are we sending out any letters to them?
I did send some letters out. And actually, I meant to update this and take some off. Like, I know the one in your district at 2440 Perry Street, that's not in operation at all. So that can be taken off the list. But yes, I did send some out, and yeah, some of those can be taken off this list.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Alder Carter. Any further questions for Mr. Verbeek? All right, hearing none, we're done with item 18, and the only item left is adjournment. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed have the same privilege. Motion carries. The CLRC meeting is adjourned at 6:46 p.m. Good night, everybody, and see you in a few weeks.
Good evening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.